Thanks, Senator. Senator Hassan.
Well, thank you, Chair Blumenthal, and to the ranking member for holding this hearing. Thanks to all of our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Fowler, I want to start with a question for you. Recent reporting has indicated that scammers are increasingly using AI-generated voice cloning tools to impersonate the family members of their victims and then fraudulently convince victims to send the scammers funds over Zelle. So this kind of gets at what we're trying to drill down on here, because of course, if you authorize something because you really think that that is your brother on the other end of the phone who's in a desperate situation, of course you're going to authorize it if you don't have real information in real time about the fact that there are these voice cloning scams going on. And really the question from a policy point of view is who's in the best position here to make sure that we are as aggressively combating this kind of scamming as we can. And I would suggest to you that large financial institutions with huge amounts of resources are in a better position than individuals who may, as the chair mentioned, not even have $400 for an emergency in their bank account. So, Mr. Fowler, how is Early Warning Services working to stay ahead of scams that use emerging AI technologies such as voice cloning? So, and be specific, please, about what efforts and resources Early Warning Systems is dedicating to understanding and disrupting emerging AI scams.
Thank you, Senator, for the question. The key point, which I think is correct, is that criminals who are perpetrating these scams are getting increasingly sophisticated. The fabric of protection that makes the Zelle network as strong as it is at 99.9+% has 5 layers, Senator. It starts with bank-grade security, so bank enrollment, screening, ID&V, KYC, and the MFA.
And I appreciate that. I would like to get to what are you doing specifically to understanding and disrupting emerging AI scams, because I have a couple more questions in just a few more minutes.
Sure, okay. So, Senator, my key point there, though, was that when you bring together bank-grade security, the token associated that makes the Zelle network operate, the rules that we have that we're constantly evolving with the 2,100 banks and the risk engines of the banks themselves, that's how we together make decisions. The key mechanism, I think, for responding to the challenge that you're identifying, which is emerging technologies, right, is the way in which we take input through our fraud management program from the 2,100 institutions that are on the network, sharing information, trends, tracking thresholds, triggers, and countermeasures where we can see them. It's this type of sharing where one bank organization will have seen a criminal perpetrate or attempt to a scam similar to the one you're describing that gets shared into the network and then back out to all recipients.
Thank you. We may very well want to follow up with you on that. I have a question to all of you. As part of its investigation, the subcommittee has heard directly from victims that scams targeting Zelle customers are extremely sophisticated and convincing. So it's crucial that Zelle does everything it can to educate consumers on the evolving nature of the scams and how consumers can protect themselves. So we'll start with you, Mr. Vancini. How will Early Warning Services and its owners who are represented here today improve your efforts to educate users about the existence and characteristics specifically of AI-generated scams?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I think it's an important one. So 2 aspects. One, at Wells Fargo, we invest heavily in both behind-the-scenes countermeasures that also use machine learning to thwart these scams. These scams and scams in general are very dynamic and they change, and we have to do a lot of work behind the scenes to keep up with them. We also have targeted education that we do both through our communication channels as well as within the transaction itself to call out specific scams that we're seeing and help customers identify the types of scams you're referring to. And then to Mr. Fowler's point, we actually also use the robust data we get in almost real time from the EWS network to update our fraud models and to ensure that we're mitigating those activities as well.
Okay, I'm going to drill down. I've got a couple of minutes left, and I had one more question, but I may submit that for the record. that's the baseline of what you're doing now. It shows some sophistication. The question for the next three of you really is, what are you doing to improve that now? What more can you be doing that you aren't doing right now to educate consumers?
Senator, thank you for the question. What more can we be doing is continuing to invest in new tools, new models to help our customers. And for example, at Bank of America, our customers viewed 1.2 billion security messages last year. We were able to do this using very sophisticated technologies, which, as I mentioned in my opening statement, we update almost daily. And and I think early morning also plays a very important role there, as Mr. Fowler mentioned, by pooling data from all of the financial institutions to improve their models and their decision intelligence capabilities, which we all use.
Okay. And Ms. Felcher, and really what I'm looking at is I'm a consumer using this service. I'm a busy person. Every time I go onto somebody's site, they give me all sorts of information, and I accept all sorts of terms and conditions. And I'm a busy person, and there's a lot of form stuff thrown at me. What are you doing to improve your information you are providing to consumers in a way that will help them be alerted to this kind of scam?
We continue to invest in our education upfront, as well as investing significantly in detecting these crimes. We have cyber teams that are constantly looking at the patterns. So just as the scammers are getting more sophisticated, so are we in our ability to detect it.
But again, I'm looking for helping consumers when they get that phone call that's a clone of their loved one's voice. What are you doing to really help educate them before they're in the panic mode?
We provide a lot of information to our customers to tell them, here's the signs to look out for. For example, a family member who seems like there's a lot of urgency that they're in trouble, that needs money immediately, that these are signs to look out for. I think we need to work together more with the other industries and with government on a national campaign to help further drive education on this.
Okay. I'm going to let you off the hook a little bit, Mr. Fowler, because my time is up, and I'm going to submit a question for the record because I think the thing we haven't touched on yet, and I'm going to have to leave, is how we can reduce the number of scams by working more closely with law enforcement. I am very supportive of giving law enforcement a lot more resources to partner with all of you on this, and I'll be very interested in understanding what you perceive law enforcement's limitations to be on this and how we can work together better with them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Hassan. Senator Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.